Powerful testimony. A journey of faith and perseverance. I want to share my testimony with you today, and I want to make it clear that there are certain details I'm only sharing with you. My family at Cornerstone Community Church. When I came here, 12 years ago without any relatives, you welcomed me with open arms. I have such deep affection for each of you, even though my husband Michael and I have been somewhat absent lately. We need to commit to attending more regularly, but I want to express my respect and love for this congregation. I've organized a few key points to explain how God worked in my life. His divine plan, even after suffering and chaos, similar to what the people of Israel experienced, was fulfilled in His perfect timing. I didn't know how long this plan would take to materialize, but in His time, according to His sovereign will, everything came together. It's important to remember God's sovereignty that we don't always understand. In Isaiah 55, the Lord declares, through the prophet, that His ways and thoughts are higher than ours. In Romans 11, Paul asks, who has known the mind of the Lord? In Proverbs 16, wise Solomon says that people make many plans, but it's God who determines their steps. God is in complete control of our lives, our decisions, and our emotions. I, Rachel, thought differently for a while, but today I understand practically what Paul explains in Romans 12, that His will is good, pleasing, and perfect. God's sovereign will is better than mine, and His timing is better than my anxiety. I'm learning to rest in the Lord during this season. To summarize, I had my son Ethan in 2007. After him, I honestly didn't think about having more children. But as the years passed, I finished college and we decided, let's try for another child. That's when, in 2014, I experienced my first loss. In 2015, the second loss. In 2016, the third. In 2017, the fourth loss. In 2018, I didn't get pregnant. In 2019, I experienced the fifth loss. With each of these losses, the Lord took something away, but replaced it with something of His. He taught me and matured many aspects of my faith journey. Between 2016 and 2018, God began to raise up many prophetic voices and brothers and sisters who would say, I dreamed about you having a little girl. I dreamed you were pregnant. And I would think, Lord, please don't give me false hope. But I kept these words in my heart. Many people don't understand the hope that lives in a mother's heart. I could have given up after 5 consecutive losses, but there was a tiny seed of hope that only the Lord can plant. As Jeremiah said, it's God who gives that hope. Because if it depended solely on favorable circumstances, they wouldn't always be positive for us. I heard many words that could have imprisoned me in captivity, like the people of Israel, but the Lord raised up individuals like Jeremiah to renew my hope and tell me there was a future. When I thought about giving up, He would raise someone up, a prophet, someone who didn't even know me, to say, you will have a daughter. I see you pregnant. This is how the Lord nourished hope in my heart. In February 2020, at the beginning of the pandemic, we attended a retreat. Several young people were there as witnesses. That Saturday evening, God used Pastor David, who was ministering in the baptism of the Holy Spirit. He didn't know my story, but the Lord used him to say, I don't know what your heart's desire is about having another child, but the Lord wants to tell you that He will give you a daughter, because that's the desire of your heart, and she will be used in God's hands in this land. This will be a confirmation of Michael's ministry. 2 months later, in the midst of the pandemic, I became pregnant. I felt an enormous faith and hope like never before. As the months passed, I overcame my fears. 1 month, 2, 3. I had never made it this far before. In the 4th month, I went for a routine ultrasound and the doctor said, there are no more heartbeats. I maintained my composure until I got into the car, when I began to cry intensely. Lord, why? So many prophetic words, and I believed them. I won't believe anymore. Rebellion tried to enter my heart. But something different happened with this loss. When the doctor said there were no more heartbeats, a surge of faith came through my husband, Michael, a pillar in my life. Then Anna was born. After 28 days, she developed an infection, late-onset sepsis. Few people know this, but I spent about 14 days in the hospital with her while she was on antibiotics. The day before, we were discharged. Who showed up at the hospital? The prophet. When I opened the door, I was alone that day. When I opened it, I saw him and asked, "What are you doing here so late?" I was even a bit scared. He said, "Oh, sister, let me see the blessing." "Oh, but this God is faithful, isn't he? He is faithful even when we have doubts, but he remains faithful." He sat on the small sofa and said, "I'm just here to give you a message because you will be discharged tomorrow. I received the discharge news today. You will go home, and you will set aside Saturday because I travel all week. You will gather your children, your mother-in-law, your husband, and no one else at your house because the Lord has a message to deliver." He said, "I will bring a word from the Lord about Ethan's life and Anna's life." I had even dreamed of a prophet speaking their names. The vow I made was inspired by Hannah's dedication of Samuel, which is why I named her Anna. To conclude my testimony, when he said this and I left the next day, this was on a Tuesday, and on Saturday I scheduled for him to come to our house. Here's the mystery. He didn't know about the vow I had made in secret. Only God and I knew. The only person I had told anything to was my friend Hannah at a retreat. But no one knew these details. When he arrived at our house, he took Ethan aside and said, "You think Ethan has a ministry in the church. I can share this, but it will be different with you. The Lord will prosper this child. The Lord will bless him. And you, Ethan, will be a sower in God's kingdom." He began to say so many beautiful things. Ethan needed renewal during his adolescence, and he began to cry there, receiving the Lord's word. Then, and he didn't know about the vow I had made about missions, he said, "Anna is here. The Lord is saying she will go." He showed us African nations on the continent, showed us a video of children dancing. This is the place the Lord is calling this child. This child has a calling on her life. The Lord has brought her here for, one day, this child. He took her 2 little feet and anointed them. The Lord is saying he will take these feet to the nations, and he will use her in missionary work. Everything I had prayed for that day, I understood the Lord had heard my crying voice, and the Lord granted my heart's desire. I'm not saying this because I deserve anything. On the contrary, there's now a great responsibility on my life. I ask for your prayers, my brothers and sisters of my congregation, to double your prayers for my family, that the Lord will give me wisdom, understanding, and perseverance to raise this child in the ways of the Lord, and that he will incline her heart all the days of her life to fulfill his will for the honor and glory of his name. This is my testimony. This is what God did for me. Because in Jeremiah 29:11, he says, "I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Then you will call on me and come and pray to me, and I will listen to you." Thank you for listening to my story. If this testimony shows you anything, it's that faith gets tested in the fire, but that's exactly where it becomes unbreakable. You're facing your own battles right now, aren't you? Every person who shared their story on this channel went through seasons of doubt, persecution, and spiritual warfare. They didn't just survive, they came out stronger. And the same biblical principles that carried them through their darkest moments can carry you through yours. That's why I've created Faith Under Fire, Biblical Solutions for Today's Christian Challenges, a completely free ebook that gives you the exact biblical strategies these testimony warriors use to overcome doubt, fear, persecution, and spiritual attacks. It's not theory. It's battle-tested truth from believers who've walked through the fire and emerged victorious. This channel has helped thousands of believers strengthen their faith through real testimonies. And here's something beautiful: 70% of every donation through Buy Me a Coffee goes directly to supporting missionaries facing their own fires on the front lines. When you support this channel, you're not just getting encouraged, you're encouraging believers in the hardest places on earth. Don't wait until the next storm hits. Prepare your faith now with these biblical solutions. Download Faith Under Fire, free in the description. Subscribe for daily testimonies. And if God moves your heart, buy me a coffee to keep these life-changing stories coming.